Hello, everybody. This is Scott Spence, Artistic Director of the Beck Center, and this is episode 2 of our video log, our vlog, as we like to say, and we're calling it Above the Waist because that seems appropriate for the times right now. So I won't ask our guests ever to stand up and reveal because the imagination is so important. So today, last week, we with our inaugural vlog, we had Broadway star and Tony nominee Rory O'Malley, and so I thought let's switch it up gender-wise here and get another Broadway local Cleveland legend, but also Beck Center alum, and we're proud of that, very proud of that. So I'd like to welcome our guest today, Rebecca Pitcher. Hi, Rebecca.
Hello, everybody.
How are you? Thank you for taking time and coming from New Jersey today, am I right?
New Jersey, Bayonne, New Jersey, yeah.
Oh, I'm sure you are staying inside as much as humanly possible. That's not a great area to be in, but I guess if you're hunkering down like the rest of us, you're going to be okay.
Yeah, it just occurred to me that it's been 5 weeks now, I think. Is it 4 or 5?
I think I remember telling my last cast that we were disbanding on the 12th. So I think we're in the like 3.5 to 4. We're coming up on 4 weeks anyway.
Yeah, I have a cat in here with me.
Yay!
Who's gonna
Animals welcome.
She's gonna keep popping up and saying, "Hey, pet me, please." So,
that works. That works. That's part of our world now. Pets get to be part of our scene.
I know, it's so great. No, we're doing okay out here.
Good.
We are Bayonne, in case people don't know, which most people don't. It's below the Statue of Liberty across from Manhattan. So there's a bridge, Bayonne Bridge, that goes straight into Staten Island. So we're close to New York City, but we're not like super duper close. So we're in our little house and we're working on a lot of projects in our house right now. So that's kind of but
you got to make use of the time you have to do the things you need. Hey, I think we all have, or we're all going to have, if we don't already have, our stories of how we were interrupted by this beast of a thing. So what's Rebecca Pitcher's story? What were you working on, or were you happily between projects?
Well, I was between projects. What's interesting is that some people may know or may not. I just finished doing An American in Paris, which last year I was about to head to China at this time last year. And we spent 3 months in China, and the show is amazing and had the most wonderful time listening and watching the dancing and just being a part of this amazing cast. But then
I've seen your picture on the back of a bicycle riding, am I right?
Yes, I am. That bicycle. I knew I had to sing a really high note in the show because my dear friend Rebecca Eichenberger originated this role. And which is funny too, because in the score, it says Rebecca on a lot of things. So it started with Rebecca and it ended with a Rebecca. So there's a little solo line that says Rebecca. So I thought that was pretty cool. But that bicycle, I had to sing a high D above high C, holding a lantern and standing on a platform that was probably the size of an iPhone. And to do it in one step, like it's like, and you're standing and holding onto the guy that's riding the bicycle. And yeah, so that took a lot of practice.
Please don't hit any bumps, no stage cables, nothing.
Yeah, well, it doesn't move. It's stationary, so that's good. But every time I tell the story, the platform gets smaller. So I kept saying,
be postage stamp size.
It's a granola bar. It's a saltine cracker. It's a Cheeto. It's a chiclet. So it kept getting small, but it actually stayed the same size. But yeah, we did China, which was amazing and interesting. And then we just finished in January being in Paris. So I was in Paris for a month and a half with An American in Paris at the theater, the Châtelet, which is where the show is set. Excuse me. So that was fun. And then my fiance and I went to Italy. So I've been in the last year all of the hot spots of what's happening right now, and now I live in one. So
Well,
wait,
I'm glad the timing worked out so you could be home, before all of this hit. That's for sure.
yeah, it really did, and every place was amazing. But I just got cast about a month ago in Fun Home to play the mother, and it's a role that I have wanted to do and auditioned and just never fit, and this time it clicked. And I have to say I had probably one of the most amazing audition experiences with this show, which we can get into or we don't have to, but it just was such a wonderful experience. And we were supposed to start rehearsals on Monday.
Well,
Yeah,
so
so
that'll do for your interruption story. I think that's it. So
that's
where
it.
are we allowed to know where that theater?
Will be happening a year from now. They have
Okay.
they postponed it and hope that everybody who was originally a part of the cast will be able to come. And I'm fingers crossed that I'm still able to do it. I think the only thing that would interrupt me from doing that is maybe a Broadway show.
Oh, I guess. So
Never know.
where is Fun Home taking place? Should it take place?
It's at the Studio Theater in Washington, D.C.
Oh, that's a great place. That's awesome.
Such a great place and so exciting. And I am still thrilled and I'm shaking because it's just, honestly, it really is one of the most wonderful roles. And I just have wanted to do it ever since.
No, that's so cool. We had a local production of Fun Home also canceled, one that our good friend and mutual friend Matt Wright was to be part of. So I know that they're looking.
Amy was going to be in that as well. Yeah, so
Correct.
I watched them have to cancel theirs, and then I sat here going, oh no, and then I was like, I know it's coming. But yeah, so that's my intro. Excuse me, a little sip of tea.
No, take a sip away. I'll yammer. No, it's absolutely. We're all looking at things that we're losing this year. I know so many local theaters, even some publicly so far, but a few private. Other directors I've talked to, we're all looking at bumping some things to next year where we can.
Yeah.
So,
it's really just hard on the theater community and music and everything. I don't leave anybody out. I mean, my fiance is a musician, a piano player and singer, and he lost all of his gigs. And so when our church called us that we both sing at and he plays, church called and said, we're going to try to live stream the masses. Definitely for Easter, and then we'll see from then on. So that was finally we get to do something.
Yeah, no, it's good for the soul and a little good for the pocketbook too. We need the gig economy, the gig economists all need a little help right now.
Absolutely.
So tell me a little bit, for those of us who don't know you as well as I know you, tell us a little bit about your connection with Beck Center. Part of this vlog series is, folks that are Beck alums. And so just tell us a little bit about how you've participated in our theater. We'd love to hear that.
Well, I think you and I met the first time doing Dick Deadeye at Berea Summer Theater, wasn't it?
I think you did Sweeney before Dick Deadeye.
Okay, Sweeney.
I think I knew you already, but you know what? I could have those backward. It's been a few years.
I can't remember which order they went in either. But so I love this story because I remember, I think you may have had someone else that was going to sing Joanna in Sweeney Todd, and something happened. I know I got a special call to come in for an audition.
Boy, you may have a better memory than I do. I don't recall that, but obviously...
Either that or I just want that to be the truth.
Yeah, maybe. Obviously, Stuart Raleigh certainly recommended you. That much I know, is he facilitated you coming in.
But I do remember, there's my water heater is going off in the background. So you know that we have warm water here. Yes. But anyway, we did Sweeney Todd. together, and I played Joanna, and that was a super fun show for many reasons. First of all, it's Sweeney Todd and amazing, but the cast was stunning. My voice teacher was Sweeney,
Right.
and then Kimber, my friend Kimber Niss, who was one of my roommates from college, was the beggar woman. And then my other roommate was the concertmaster at the orchestra. And my mom was also in it.
That's right. That's right. She was. Good old Pam.
Lunatic. She likes to call herself a lunatic. And she's like, remember, we were the lunatics. And I was
With
like,
the lunatics. Learning that very hard letter number. I remember Stuart obsessing over that.
yes. Where are my lunatics? I
That's
remember
right.
that one day.
So then you took a few years off and did a few other things, which we'll come back to and talk more about.
Yeah.
But then we got you back for 2 seasons of a really cool role.
Well, we did She Loves Me
Right.
first.
But we did, that's right. We did do She Loves Me first. You're
We
right.
did
Your
She Loves Me
sequencing is
first.
better than mine.
I don't know. It's a special soprano sequencing brain. Yeah, we did She Loves Me first. That was the first one that I came back for. And then it was the year after and the year after that that we did Mary Poppins.
Yep, you're right.
But I mean, both of those roles are such amazing roles. And thank you, Beck Center.
I believe the thanks is from us to you every time.
It goes both ways, but again, yeah, it's 2 of the best shows I think I've ever been a part of. The cast, the crew, everybody, the theater, being home, always so wonderful to be home. And yeah.
Well, we're not done yet, so we'll figure out. I can't wait to find out when the window of opportunity happens, but I think you know it'll happen. So, but in between times, you had some pretty cool things happen to you. And clearly, I think, your hallmark is Christine Daae and Phantom of the Opera, both on tour, domestically and internationally, if I'm right?
Yeah.
And of course on Broadway. But there's a couple great stories that, I want everyone to hear about. First of all, is just, your David Gooding audition suggestion story. And then we have one that's even more fun after that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, David Gooding, who's my voice teacher in Cleveland, whom I love, and I need to call him and see how he's doing in all of this that's going on. I was at a voice lesson, and we had just started warming up and doing things, and suddenly his cell phone rings, and he picks it up because he saw who it was. And it was Kristen Blodgett, who is the musical supervisor for Phantom of the Opera, and for most of the Cats companies as well. She does all that of the music for that. And she was calling him to ask him if he had any suggestions of anyone who might be a good Christine understudy. And he's holding his phone and he says, hold on a second. He puts the phone down and he says, would you be interested by any chance in auditioning for the Phantom of the Opera to understudy Christine? And I was just like, yes. When do I do that? Where do I go? What do they want? And so I think it was about 3 days later, I was in New York and I had my audition, which is funny because I had been studying opera, and it's a little different. It's not different. I mean, you have your 5 arias that you usually go in with, different languages, and then 1 in English, just to be, cover your bases. And I had a very pretty dress and my hair was kind of poofy and big. And I went into this audition and they were seeing about 2 other girls, I think, for the Christine cover, and then a Phantom. And then the whole outside area was filled with ballerinas. So they were auditioning Megs.
Okay.
So I went in, and this is at the old Broadway dance studio. So I went in and I sang Lucia, one of the Lucia arias from, oh my goodness, because I didn't really have anything musical theater.
I'm going to nod and pretend that I know exactly what you're talking about.
Listen, it's a coloratura aria that is like fireworks, and it's, you know, it's one of the slower ones, but it's still quite high. And so I sang a little bit of that, and then I sang, oh, they asked me if I knew Think of Me. And I said, well, actually I do, because I used Think of Me as my piano audition for undergraduate school for college.
Okay.
They're like, well, play something. And I was like, I know how to play Think of Me. So I played it. So anyway, I sang that. And then they asked me to stay and to do the scene, the Christine Rowell scene in the dressing room. And then to learn some of the choreography from Masquerade. And I was like, oh, I have to dance? That doesn't happen. It doesn't happen a lot in the opera world. And I think, honestly, the last dance audition I did was for Dick Deadeye.
Oh, my gosh.
With Martine.
Yes,
So
all right.
it had been a little while. And I was not dressed in the right outfit to dance,
Right.
but it was fine. It was fine. So I did that. And well, I went out and I learned the dance in like a tiny little hallway. And this is my favorite part of the story, I think. I went out and I learned the dance. And then the dance captain was like, okay, you practice this for a little while. We're going to see, you know, a couple more people, and then we'll come out and get you. And all these girls are standing around kind of watching and looking. And I'm practicing it. And one of them says, do you need a little bit of help? And I was like, yeah, that would be great.
Yes, please.
Just, you know, you guys were watching, your dancers, you know, so they kind of helped me with it a little bit. And then I went back into the room and I was doing the scene and I was doing the little dance for Masquerade. And that particular studio had two double doors that had windows all down and then curtains. And I finished doing the dance and I look over at the window and there's these little stack of heads of the girls that were helping me, and they're all going like this.
Oh, don't you always wish New York auditions were that supportive?
Well, sometimes they are. Sometimes they really are. I know me personally, I try to be incredibly supportive to other people that are going in. If they've done something in the room that I think the next person coming in might help to let them know, I try to do that. That's just me. I figure they're going to pick who they want to pick for the part. I hope it's me.
Yep.
But if it's not, then, you know, it's a job for someone else. So at least that's what I try.
Yeah, that's such a great story to literally be at a voice lesson when you got the initial call of interest.
Yes.
I really do love that story. But there's another Phantom story I love a little bit more, and I believe it has to do with, shall we say, pyrotechnics. Would you like to guide us through that one?
Yes. Well, since it's so long ago, I can share this one to the world. Yeah. So in Phantom, there's a lot of fire and explosions. The fire.
Did this happen on tour or in New York?
Yes, this happened on tour, and I was just going to mention that the fire is different in New York than it is on the tour, mostly because they can do things underneath the deck in New York because there's a crossover, so they can set the flash pots right before they have to go off, whereas on the tour they had to set them much earlier. They would set them at intermission for Act 2 or you know, wherever it was. So at the end of Masquerade, there's what they call the sparkle flash. So the Phantom comes down the stairs and he says, your chains are still mine, you will sing for me. And then the sparkle flash goes, and because there's no trapdoor, he runs off the stage. So it's a very bright, very sparkly thing. It's something that if it hit you would just go away.
Right.
It you know, you might feel a little bit of warmth, but you wouldn't really feel anything because it goes away very quickly. Now, after the mausoleum scene where Christine sings "Wishing You Were Somehow Here Again," there are 6 flash pots across the stage. I think it's 6, 5 or 6. 5 or 6.
Enough to do some damage. Yes.
Doesn't matter. They're 4-foot flames that are set into the stage, and they're set on the tour in intermission. And then there's the person off stage who I used to call Pyro Man. He would have 2 sets of switches. So there was the arming, there was the prep switch or whatever. So he would have to arm the one that he was supposed to blow up and then set it and then go. So he had to do a certain amount of switches to let it go. So you'd know if you're doing the one after Masquerade, there's just one, so you have to arm one. If you're doing the one after Mausoleum, you have to arm a whole bunch of them.
Right.
Well, I remember doing the very end of Masquerade and doing what we called the death spiral with Raoul before we go up to the stairs to do the Masquerade paper faces. And I looked over and I said to myself, oh, so-and-so is doing the pyro tonight. It's not the usual guy, which is fine because the person that was doing it that night, who was subbing in, is the head of the electrics. So I was like, oh, that's kind of neat. That's different.
He's got this.
Yeah, well, it didn't even occur to me that someone wouldn't have it.
Right.
So he comes down the stairs and we're doing our thing and he grabs the necklace with the ring and he goes, your chains are still mine. You will sing for me. And I pass out into Raoul's arms. And usually the pyro goes off almost immediately and then everybody runs. Well, there was a strange clicking sound that I'd never heard before. And then I heard the kaboom, and then I felt a very warm rush of air, shall we say, go off right underneath me.
Wow.
And yeah, so once I realized kind of what was happening, I just ran off the stage like I'm supposed to. One of my dear friends said that I actually got down on the floor, got up and got down on the floor again. Like, I don't remember that. I just remember running to my gondola to change and just being just like in utter shock.
Yeah.
And, yeah. So the whole back of my dress was gone. My wig was melted because they use a synthetic wig on the tour for Christine. Because if they use natural hair, they have to reset it so many times. So it was easier to do that. So it only melted, it didn't disappear.
Yeah.
Whereas natural hair would have probably like gone up. So yeah, so that happened.
Yeah. Once.
Once.
What was
yeah.
it like? What was it like the very next night when that moment hit? You had to, your mind must have been swimming.
Well, before we get there, what's interesting is I had to come back out, obviously. I mean, they didn't stop the show. I think they felt like we can still go on. We're all right. No one's really hurt. One person was really hurt, but they had her and they were taking care of her and she's okay now. And I had some burns, but we just went on. And I come out for the manager's 2 scene and everybody just goes, no,
they did not expect that.
No, and I also entered later than I normally would. I came out with Raoul instead of being already out there. So they were like not sure what was happening. But the next day they had a huge meeting about it and they were like, well, we could cancel the performances, but we really think that we should still go on. This is, everybody's okay. And excuse me, they did offer to allow me to not do the show for a few days.
Sure.
Just because they thought it would be too hard. And my response was, I think it's better if I get right back in there and just go, because if I don't, it might be harder, to come back if I, and we were in Pittsburgh and my parents were coming on that week. So I was like, no, I can do it. And my burns were on my legs and they were small. They were very small. It wasn't horrible. They were 2nd-degree burns, but they were very small. So
yeah.
I mean,
Just, that's all.
Yeah, but I've had some very interesting things happen on stage. So
yeah, well, that's certainly got to be, one of the tops. So
yeah.
Cool. That's yeah, that's just such a wild story, and I'm sure you could probably write a small book with as many times. How many performances did you log altogether?
Somewhere around 3,000.
Wow.
Yeah, somewhere
Wow.
was a lot.
Oh my gosh, that's absolutely amazing. So that wasn't your last foray on the Great White Way, though. More recently, and it kills me that I wasn't able to see this because unfortunately it closed, just before. But you got to do Rodgers and Hammerstein piece.
Yeah, Carousel. Yes. Oh, closed way too soon, but
Yeah, it did.
yeah, yeah. It's really unfortunate that they didn't decide to keep it open. It was one of those shows, I think, where they really spared no expense. And sadly, Renee Fleming was leaving us for a month or so, and I think they decided that that was a big enough, I don't know, hit to the show that they were just like, well, let's just bring it to a close here where we have it, and with the people
Yeah.
that we started with. And I mean, it was amazing, that show. The dancing was phenomenal. When the singers came in, the dancers had already done 3 workshops. So they knew all of the choreography. I mean, they did change quite a bit of it through our workshop and then through preparing for the actual show. But yeah, they already had most of the show learned.
Any good inside carousel stories? I know you said so many. I'm surprising you here, but any fun insider scoops on that one?
Oh my gosh, I don't. Nothing crazy happened. We did have a couple of matinees on Sundays that were at 3 o'clock, and a few people forgot.
Oh, and how does that work?
I almost got to go on as Mrs. Mullins, because that's who I understudied.
Right.
Almost got to go on for her with one rehearsal, but they held the curtain and she got there. So there was also one night that Joshua, when he sings the big soliloquy at the end of Act 1,
right,
he took an option up on a high note that he never had done before. And we're all up in the dressing room because we're done for the act. And all of a sudden we hear him sing this high note, and everybody went.
Did he make it? Did he? Oh, good.
No. He wouldn't have done it if he didn't know that he could, but he didn't do it again.
Does he get a stage manager note after that?
I think he might have.
Okay, even Joshua Henry, right?
I don't know for sure, but he didn't do it again. And it may have been a Saturday night on Broadway gift to the people who were there. I'm not sure. But
absolutely.
Yeah, he might have gotten a music note on that one as well. Please don't take the option up.
Because it's not really an option.
Dear Joshua Henry, that is not.
Yeah.
But it was amazing. So anyway, yeah, there weren't too many crazy things that happened. Renee Fleming had to leave the show. She lost her voice during clam bake. And we all
right in the middle of the number?
Basically, we all heard it. We were like, well, that's strange. And then the next thing we know, they're dressing the understudy up in the small break between clam bake and You'll Never Walk Alone. And she came out, and I guess people were like, well, who's that? Why is she singing that song?
Yeah, no announcements, no time for that. You just gotta keep it going.
Yeah.
So what fun these things we do.
I know, live theater, people, that's where the magic happens.
It really does. I got to see Ron Moody do Fagin and Oliver in London, and clearly he had done the role 8,000 times or something. But he was so funny just because scenery almost hit him, and he just leaps out of the way and ad libs, and he loses props into the orchestra pit without a beat. So it's just wonderful when things go wrong. Maybe not pyrotechnically. We can agree on that.
No, I did have a mask once when you take the mask from the Phantom and run around and have to fall down directly in front of the big mirror bride that's there. And you have to perfectly place the mask on the stage. so that it's sitting up and it looks like it's the mast there. Well, I tripped and it bounced and fell into the pit. And we were like, well, I guess we'll just pretend that we'll just do something. But apparently it had fallen into the pit and wedged itself into the strings of the upright bass.
Oh, of course it did. Yeah.
So he had to play with the phantom mask sticking out of his upright.
Yeah. The mask didn't slowly rise up from the orchestra pit.
It's happened a couple times that I dropped it or it fell into the pit, and I just always like, please don't try to put the mask back up.
Yes. Well, these are the moments that audiences love, though. They really do. They're very forgiving. So we forget that too, and also that if you don't call attention to it, half the time they don't know there's a mistake.
They have no idea. A lot of people. I spoke to people after the performance that I knew that had been at the performance when the pyro went off incorrectly, and they had no idea.
I'm not surprised at all. Yeah, not surprised. Who's that flaming lady, Mommy?
Why is she running? What are those? I didn't see that the last time I saw the show.
Well, I got to tell you, I thank you so much for taking time. I know that it's a busy weekend for you as a church vocalist, and you're making your wares that way. So thank you for squeezing some time in. We're just trying to let our audiences know that we may be silent for the moment doing some shows, but we can certainly harken back to some good memories and let everyone know that we're still out there. So until we meet again on the Beck stage, or we get to come see you do something a little bigger in the city, I thank you so much, Becca.
Well, thank you, Scott. This was great.
Oh, appreciate it. So I will let everyone know that, as always, our website is www.beckcenter.org, and we always have a donate button. It's a hard time for not-for-profits right now, so please, if you have the inclination, come visit us and let us know that you're still out there. Otherwise, we'll be all seeing you on the stage again soon. So thank you for being part of Above the Waist episode 2, Becca. And we will see you all soon, and with another guest hopefully next week. All right, take care, everybody.